preferences for which character they like. I believe my favorites are Hound, then Candy. For some reason, the second one didn't click with me as well. There's like two aspects I just didn't figure out how I'd
I
play.
call dibs on GM. That's my favorite character.
Oh! I didn't remember that one was an option. Oh yeah, it's
A lot of people forget that one.
Candy, Coyote, and Hound. Coyote is the captain, Candy is the slob, and Hound is the former criminal. Former murderer.
What was the one you said you didn't like?
I didn't like Coyote as much, the captain. The suicidal-ish, but the skills just didn't work for me. The high will, empathy, provoke thing. It's like, I don't know how I play this. Versus, a slob who makes people pissed at him and can't fight? Yeah, I can do that. And, the kind of, they call me Hound because this collar here, those both seem kind of fun to me. But hey, if you want to play GM too, you can roll it out with Jacob. But he's
We'll Rochambeau for it.
Any preferences?
I'm gonna let Eric pick before me this time.
Yep, you guys were in the last one, weren't you?
Yeah. I guess I'll go with Candy then.
Oh no! All right.
I mean, I kind of like Coyote. It's just I don't generally like being a leader type.
I think it's adorable that anyone playing a role-playing game thinks they can be a leader. I've played for 20 years, and I've never seen anyone display anything like leadership. It's always just everybody ends up pointing guns at everybody else, and then everybody starts yelling, and then eventually they all do what they were all going to do anyway.
I have an objection also to the characters. I noticed that there's lieutenant, there's a captain, and there's another lieutenant. Like, first off, I don't know if they're first or second lieutenants, but why are they all officers? These are wingmen. They shouldn't be.
Well, actually, I was in the Air Force. I was a crew chief on F-15s. If you're a pilot, you are in fact an officer.
Oh, okay, bad.
Except helicopter pilots, which can be non-commissioned officers.
Yeah. Okay, that's okay. I knew where those.
I think it's adorable that they think that they would use naval ranks. I'm glad they didn't go with ensign, really, because that's one of those things that happens in science fiction all the time that pisses me off. I'm like, the Air Force is in charge of NASA. It will be Air Force ranks when we go to space. But whatever, I don't care. Just a little bitter.
Hey, Dylan, if you really like Hound, I could do Coyote. I mean, I can do leadership. He sits a little less easy with me.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't actually look at any of the players, any of the pre-gen characters ahead of time, this time around. But just because last time I wound up being like the seasoned vet guy in the leadership role. But either way, I was actually just reading through it now.
Yeah, it's the small town morals, I think, that bothered me the most. And Let Sleeping Dogs Lie is like, I have no idea how I'd try to pad situations.
What is a small town in Dark? That's 637 years in the future, or more.
What are the morals of them? Like,
I was actually going to ask you if I could swap out small town morals for I hate being in charge.
Sure, that sounds good. Not sure how well it fits with the rest of them, but I don't care. Go for it.
Well, this character would rather be taking the risks instead of like telling people what to do, and right?
Which
maybe
is often some of the best leaders, the ones who are willing to go and do all the crap. So I think it actually works pretty well with the character of just like it's lead from the fronts rather than the, than the inspirational leader type. Which we don't realize that it's just she's throwing herself into everything. We just think she's very,
She's the Martha Stewart of fighter pilots, really. No, I don't really know what that means, but the thought occurred, and I had to say it.
Now,
If
see,
I
I
could,
don't know. I don't know what small town morals. Like, yeah, I don't like that one.
Well, I think it's supposed to mean like traditional values as we understand them now, as opposed to how we would understand them 2,000 years in the future or whenever this takes place.
I think of it more like, gets annoyed with the bigger bureaucracy, like the small town. We can just get together and talk things
Or
out.
well, it could just be also,
like politically, like town meeting. I could handle that.
or it could be something also like the idea that there's the big city people always look down on small town people, and I think it's supposed to be a good thing, sort of like a you're you're wise as opposed to being street smart, kind of thing. I don't know.
All right, no,
There's a lot
I'll
of
go.
interpretations of that, so I don't
It could
know.
be fun. All right, whatever. I'll try it.
Okay, and what's the worst that happens? We play it once, and then
Yep.
and then we
Yeah.
discuss. It's fine. I will say this: after having read through it a couple times, I like the format of this one quite a bit better than the previous one. Um, I know those of you who were here last time, we discussed the format of the previous one and how it was kind of, and I think this one solves a lot of those problems.
I didn't
So-
read the openings.
That's okay. You're about to play
Yeah, I didn't
through
read it this time either. So.
It'll be great. That's kind of the joy of this. All right, so you've kind of picked your characters, and maybe we'll change them as we go. We got to do some setting creation. We have the basically the setup is this: is you guys are playing, you're playing ace pilots, some of the best pilots in the fleet, who are all damaged in some way or broken or bad. Like, you're just not the best people, and that's why you got this terrible position. Basically, you're in orbit around the dark star, which is a thing with gravity but no mass, about the size of a planet. So nothing that's been sent in has come out, and it's something to be studied, but honestly, there's a civil war going on in the Empire, so you're on a kind of soon-to-be decommissioned carrier ship, and you're ace fighter pilots while there's a war on, and you're stuck out here because, well, you pissed off the wrong people, or you did the wrong thing, or whatever, but you're a good enough pilot that they didn't want to just can you. And so the current issue is the Dark Star, which is, honestly, most of your job is to avoid gravitational anomalies while trying to pick up any kind of sensor readings on the Dark Star, and stop a group of cultists called the Void Cravers from ramming their ships into the Dark Star, because they believe that's where their gods are. Could be right, who knows? And so most of you guys generally spend your days running science missions, and that sort of thing. It's boring and dangerous, which is just lovely. And there are 2 faces already for it. Oh, hold on. I didn't share my pretty much unnamed thing here. All right, share the link. Copy. Sorry about this. There we go. And there are 2 faces that go along with it. Rustin Durante, who's the matriarch of the apocalyptic cult, seeking oneness with the Dark Star, and Captain Raul Reznik, commander of the Victorious, which is the ship that you're all stationed on and you launch your fighters from. So what we've got to do then in setting creation is, hold on. Yeah, you need to fill in 2 additional faces associated with the Dark Star. These additional characters will provide new plot hooks and twists, blah, blah, blah. So let's come up with 2 faces additional to those that would be associated with the Dark Star. this would be a fine time for questions if I wasn't clear or if I just kept rambling.
Wait, two faces or two plot?
Faces. Faces provide plot points, but 2 faces.
What about someone who was someone in the or stationed on the Victorious, may have had a fairly high rank, and then revealed themselves as being a member of this cult, and so had to be locked up to avoid crashing the Victorious into the Dark Star.
So like a former first officer or something who went nuts, and so now he's kind of the Hannibal Lecter in the center of the ship. I dig it. That's great.
Yeah.
And this is space opera, so we can give him an appropriate name. So let's see. What should we call?
I think it should be somebody high enough ranking that they could have gotten to the controls.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like the second in command, like a commander or a major. We'll go with major. I like major. Air Force ranks again. Because captain really isn't that high. We're getting a weird echo. Check. I think it's you, Zach. Check. Yeah.
Okay, let me see if headphones help. 1 minute.
But all right, so we've got major. We could always go like major dark, but with like an AHRRKE or something like that.
Major Tom.
We could go with Major Tom. Space Oddity is one of my favorite albums. So.
Thomas Dark.
All right, so Major Thomas Dark. And member of cult to crash Victorious the Dark Star. Now sits in the brig. Okay, cool.
You typed not.
I see that. No, it's a joy being a writer who can't spell because I write too fast.
You give me hope.
Oh no, it's what editors are for. My editor, Allison.
Oh, you're a poor editor.
She's the best person ever. Well, one, I always run it through a spell check twice. Before I have 2 sets of spell checks that I run it through just to check for the random normal stuff.
Yeah,
and then
that just gets it to be homonyms.
Mm-hmm. And then I just wait for Allison to send me a note saying, "Hey, did you mean balloons? Because I don't think you meant balloons. Because you're talking about sky ships." I'm like, well, it could be a balloon. I don't know. So. It's the editors save my life. They make me look like I'm smart, which is important because looking smart is better than actually being smart.
Black Jade balloon could be a thing, right?
Actually, I just did White Jade, and I believe the intro fiction has a balloon of a sort.
A floating bell, right?
Correct. With really great art, like. That piece blew my mind when I saw it. I was like, oh my gosh. But yeah, I actually I did a big capital ship, big White Jade capital ship, and a White Jade air yacht, and then of course Mario boots that let you run and jump really well. So, because I still I would love to do a whole series of things about a bunch of plumbers who do parkour in their spare time. I think I could get away with it. Like if I just didn't name them what we know their names should be, and you just do it like you do it like John Carter of Mars, right? So they get sucked into this parallel universe and they have to save the day and fight evil aliens.
but they're Greek instead of
If
Italian.
you,
or
Yeah,
something.
instead of Italian.
Yeah.
yeah, if you
like,
said it in Japan, they wouldn't realize that it was like, oh yeah, you're set in Japan. They would, what? Okay, they would never think like Mario. It's a me.
it's the Tsukopoulos brothers. But yeah, that's a thought I've had. Anyway, so all right, we've got Major Thomas Dark. Now, we need a second face, and I was thinking somebody you'd run into a lot. So I know the first scene is set in kind of a bar, so you could do like a bar type person.
Isaac.
Or again, you guys are fighter pilots. You probably get injured a lot, so a therapist or a doctor type.
I think
person.
I like a bartender because that covers all of the above.
All right.
And I think my character would talk frequently to a bartender, not maybe.
Okay. So all right. So we've got Isaac the bartender.
There we go.
Okay, yeah.
And no one knows his last name. He's the bartender. Tsukopoulos. I don't know. All right. So we've got two faces. Great. We're moving right along. Footloose and fancy free. And then we have to choose from one of the two available impending issues. I'm going to be honest, we're not going to get to those. So I feel like we can kind of skip that, but I will mention them. White Hawk's Approach, which are the rebels in the Civil War, and then Growing Scientist Discontent.
I think the second one is a good one not to get to.
Yeah, okay. So, because again, we're only just going to do this one session. So if this were a campaign, though, I'd probably just go with both of them and say, that sounds great, let's do that.
Actually, they work so well together. It's like, why pick just one?
I'd go the Battlestar Galactica route. All the issues. Just do them all right now.
Yeah, it's like the scientists are discontent, and the White Hawk advanced people offer them better funds for their research.
And I'd even throw in a fourth one. I'd be the cult, the whole cult thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
As its own separate impending issue.
Yeah.
The scientists causing problems, which makes things work less than efficiently, and then the White Star people show up. Or the White Hawk people show up.
And then you could do espionage in the middle of that. You know, like you don't know who to trust because there are some guys who kind of, they kind of agree with the White Star guys. So like, well, yeah, or the White Hawk guys. They're like, yeah, they seem like legit people. And so you could have that whole plus. I mean, nobody out here is here because they want to be. So you're all kind of being dissed by the. I mean, you could run this for years as a big political campaign.
I like the aspect, just that everybody's a traitor.
Yeah. So
it's like the Man from U.N.C.L.E.
I have actually for my birthday I got the entire Man from U.N.C.L.E. series.
I saw.
It's probably my number one or number two favorite show from the '60s. And
you saw the new movie, right?
I have not yet.
Go see it. It is excellent.
It looked okay.
My
other favorite is Wild Wild West, which that movie was terrible. So, but the show was amazing.
With the note that we're going to have kind of limited time, could I change my trouble aspect from not good enough for Dr. Lee to cybernetic collar? Because in one case, we need to run into Dr. Lee, which is going to be limited where we can, versus I always have the collar on. And it's basically the remote control for me.
Well, I don't know how I could compel that without blowing you up, so.
Maybe it shocks me. Maybe I can't go outside the ship because I have it on unless I'm like authorized. It just seems like something where there's a lot of places.
It could make just the fact that he's wearing it could make him think twice about an action.
Yeah, okay. or being seen performing an action.
All right, good. If you come up with a situation where that would be important, let me know, and then I'll compel it. Unless I think of something, but we'll see how it goes as it goes. But sure, you can change it.
Yay!
All right. So character creation goes through. We do have some renamed skills, and they removed some a skill. They removed notice. Basically, they've gone with a different route, where if you've got a +3 in a skill, that would be relevant. You just automatically notice whatever you need to notice. And the rename skills are lore, which is now doctrine. Burglary is now larceny. They don't mention whether it's grand or not. But drive is now operate. Craft is repair.
Yeah, that was the hardest one for me to wrap my head around.
And notice is survival, which is based on the survival skill that's actually earlier in the same issue by Ryan Macklin, the internet's Ryan Macklin, to those of you who know. Right, so, and rather than use stress tracks, it uses conditions.
Yeah, I want a little explanation on that.
All right.
How many of those boxes can you check? Like, for example, I have, let's see, I have 2 by angry, 2 checkbox, but they're each worth 1, I believe.
Well, it's because it's worth, basically, here's how it works. During play, you can mark off conditions to avoid being taken out during a conflict. Or you can do it to pay a minor or major cost as the result of a failed roll, provided it's in keeping with what's going on around you. So basically, when the condition is checked, it's one of 2 kinds. You've got the sticky kind and the lasting kind, and everybody has at least 1 sticky of angry, 1 sticky of exhausted, and at least 2 lasting consequences of injured or conditions of injured. And basically, sticky ones last until I compel them, and then they go away, and you can use them again. And lasting ones last until basically you make a recovery roll after at least 1 whole session. So if it's a lasting one, it's going to be there till we're done.
But the checkboxes don't clear until they fill and you compel, correct?
Until, yeah, you basically, when you take a hit, you can just be like, oh no, I'm angry, or oh, I'm exhausted, and then check it. And
but
then,
if I take a hit for,
and then I compel, then when I compel it, then it gets erased.
If I take a hit for 3 though, and you know, for me, all of my conditions are 2 slots. Do I get to check 2 on one and 1 on a different
No, it's
one?
just it just stops you. Like just checking 1 stops that from succeeding.
Oh, okay, that's what I didn't get.
Yeah, it's I actually kind of like it, and I'm probably going to steal it, because it's very simple.
See, that didn't
You
come
don't have
across
to
to me. I thought it was, you know, for example, Coyote has 1 for exhausted, a 2 for angry, and a 3 for injured. And I thought it was, you know, basically like a 1, a 2, or a 3 box.
No.
So
Okay.
one box takes care of any remaining shifts?
I believe so. That's how it reads.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm guessing that means that success with style on attacks will just automatically grant a boost. So, yep. So that's that. Also, everybody has their own ship on their character sheet, yes? And ships have their own skills because everybody's assumed to be an ace pilot. So the only difference, really, between any of you is the type of ship you're in. And so ships have the following 5 skills: engines, hulls, sensors, systems, and weapons. Engine is used to overcome distances and obstacles, as well as create advantages for keeping up with fleeing prey or setting up a strafing run. It cannot be used to attack, but it can be used to dodge enemy fire with a defense roll. Hull, typically used to defend against enemy attacks. The hull of a ship can also be used as a battering ram to make attacks. Guessing that's not going to go well for you, but it's always an option. At the same time, it can also be counted on to overcome obstacles or create advantages when appropriate, such as flying through hangar doors to escape a ship or something. Sensors. You want to see outside your ship? This skill can be used to overcome and create advantages to learn more about your environment. It can also be used for electromagnetic attacks, but most ships are shielded enough that that's to be rare. Systems. Everything internal to the ship, including attempts to fix problems and keep things running, rely on internal systems. Keeping things up and running by overcoming obstacles and creating advantages is the primary use of the skill. Weapons. I'm pretty sure we all know the primary use of weapons. So,
They're to polish and show off.
Well,
No
I mean,
one has guns as big as I.
it's mostly for the chicks. I think we can all agree for that. But also probably for shooting bad guys. They don't. Fighters don't have stress boxes, but they can take 2 consequences: a mild and a moderate. Larger ships might have stress boxes, but we don't worry about that for you guys because your fighters don't.
Interesting. The stress boxes don't appear on the character sheets, though, except for
Well,
the...
that's because you don't have stress boxes on your ship.
Well, oh.
You have 2 consequences. You have a mild consequence and a moderate consequence for your ship.
But our characters just have 3 consequences: a mild, a moderate, and a major.
No, actually, if we're using conditions, you don't have consequences, or, well,
They're on the character sheet.
do conditions have... Oh my gosh. Alright, I need to look up conditions again to see if... Because I'm pretty sure when you're using conditions, you don't have consequences.
Oh, but they said modified conditions. That they weren't doing, like, the... They use modified conditions from Fate System Toolkit.
Yeah.
In addition to the traditional consequences. That's on page 34.
Mm-hmm. No, I was looking at that, and that's why I'm looking that up right now, because I'm like, I am unclear.
So would you just use those after you filled up your angry, exhausted, and injured?
I don't know. That's why I'm trying to figure it out.
It just seems weird how they talk about the ship conditions consequences, but they don't have...
Okay. Conditions are like consequences, except they're predefined. So yeah, I don't think conditions have consequences, so you don't have consequences. Just your ships have consequences.
I mean, that's the Fate... that's the System Toolkit definition, but what they said here was that they explicitly were doing both conditions and...
Oh, in addition to more... Yeah, but I don't understand how that would work. That's confusing to me because, again, it says basically, so do you just mark it and then it's... I guess that'll just make combat last longer.
I think it's a little tougher, the characters, but they'll get more and more negative things that you can compel.
Oh yeah, no, I see that part. It's just, we'll see how it plays. Okay, so you have your normal list of consequences as well as conditions. I'm fairly certain I don't like that, but we'll see how it plays.
Yeah, and it's just was weird that we have those consequences. You could just say those consequences are for the ship rather than us.
No, because the ship has its own consequences.
But they don't have those on our character sheet. That's the place where I thought it was the weirdest.
Well, that's fine.
Okay.
I'm just saying what the rules are. We'll try to play it by the rules as written, and then we'll discuss it when we're done, and we'll see. Maybe it's wonderful. Maybe it works great, and we're all crazy. So, all right. Do we have any questions or anything you want to alter or discuss before we start? I'll take that as a no. All right.
Quick question, actually. The blue 10, blue 11. Is that like our call
That's
sign?
your squadron. Yeah, there are 3 squadrons: red, blue, and green, which together make the color white in the light spectrum. Indeed. So,
just putting that because I'm going to forget. Okay.
No worries. That's a fine place to put thoughts as you go. All right. So to start off, there is the best in green squadron is named the best fighter pilot in green squadron named Lieutenant Dakchi, and he is a rival with one of you. Which of you is he a rival with? Which does he see as the best in blue squadron?
Well, obviously, that would be me.
Okay. All right then. And you're playing which one, Eric?
Candy.
Candy. Okay.
Yeah, he picked Candy because Candy can't fight.
All right, so you guys have been, for the last few days, you've been on flight detail, which is, again, monotonous and dangerous. And finally,
Fights.
you've got some time off. So you guys are sitting in the bar up in the forward part of the ship, where they have projections at the outside, so it looks like you have windows, but you wouldn't put windows on a combat ship. So I mean, it's overall it's pretty great. You guys have got a chance to calm down, but it's more of the same. And so you guys are kind of you've literally gotten off. You got the day off. So what have you been doing in the bar? Because again, it's pretty much the only place you can hang out outside of your room.
I'd like to have just arrived at the bar because I think I was trying to commit a little bit of larceny. I wanted to get an off-world apple, not hydroponic, but fresh off the ship. They had this 500 kilos of fuel it took to ship this thing.
I don't know what that is in American, but that seems like a lot of fuel.
I figure they finally switched to the metric system 600 years in the future.
I'm against the metric system and the fascism it stands for. It was founded by the French Revolution, which was known as the Great Terror, and murdered people all day long. I am against the metric system. I will say it publicly and loud and proud.
Vive la Saint-Amité!
Uh-huh. You stand for murder, sir.
Well, that's why I have the collar.
I'm angry about something 200 years old. All right. So, actually, it's just I don't want to learn a new system. All right. So, do you want to roll for getting that?
Yes.
Or do you, okay. All right. Let's roll some. Would it be larceny or would it be contacts?
It could be contacts if I use connections. I was figuring I was stealing it out of the hold while they were unloading it for the officers.
That'll work. And you are Hound, yes?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just making sure I'm remembering everybody. So we got Hound, and then Dylan, you're Coyote.
Coyote.
And Candy. All right. So, yes, for that it would be larceny.
I got a 2. So I only got a fair result.
Well, if it's as valuable as you say it is, I would guarantee you the difficulty would probably be a little higher than 2. That said, you can always take a condition as your cost for success. Or we could just say that you're...
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
I think I do that. I think I want this fresh, off-world apple that badly.
Okay.
Also,
So
gives it a chance to compel. I think I'm getting angry.
You're angry. Because how dare the system get in your way of having a delicious apple?
Uh-huh.
All right. And not that I'll use that. So you show up, you've got an apple in your pocket. So remember that. That'll be important later. Somebody will be like, oh, he had an apple in his pocket. Now it all makes sense. So, all right. So when you come in, basically, Lieutenant Dakshi, bit of an a-hole, really. He's been kind of bragging to everybody. I don't know if anybody played the Wing Commander series, but I see him a bit like Maniac, in that he's a loudmouth, all up in everybody's face about it, kind of a bully, kind of an asshole. So he's kind of, talking with his Green Squadron pals, and they're all like, whatever, blah, blah, blah. They don't care. But the few Red Squadron guys, because they're all out on patrol, so the few who are there are just like, oh, shut him up. And then he notices Candy. And then he starts getting up in your face, Candy, about the bet you two have. He is stupid drunk, and you guys did make a bet. The bet is basically who could get closest to the Dark Star without crashing, because you're both a little nuts. So, but he's completely drunk, and he's claiming that he got closer. And do you believe him? Do you pay the thing, or are you going to let his belligerent drunkenness?
Yeah, no, there's no way he got that close because I would have heard about it. I want to bring up that time that one cult member made it right past him. He didn't even notice it, and the guy managed to make it all the way to Dark Star.
And he's like, well, what about that one time that you almost crashed? Remember when I had to pull your butt out of the fire? And then he starts making up the story. Like, you did almost crash, and he was there. But the rest of the story is completely unrelated. And talking about how you're this little damsel in distress, and you don't know how to fly a ship, and just doing all of the typical movie dick moves, and like kind of pushing you a little bit. Like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? You can't do nothing.
So I don't know how smart this would be, but can I use provoke to create an advantage on him?
Heck yeah, you can.
Like everything he's saying, I'll come back with something else, and I know
So
he's.
Are you trying to piss him off?
Yeah, I know he's drunker than I am, so I know.
All right, so you're using provoke to make him more mad. I'm down. And so he will defend, and you will attack, basically.
And I'm just hoping that he's drunk enough that when he starts swinging, he won't be able to hit me.
He does have an arguing with officers skill, so that will help.
All right, so.
He got a 1. So I have a feeling you're going to do okay.
Hoo-hoo!
Provoke is my +4, so.
So you did okay?
So he got a 6. He was like, so you might have gotten closer, but that's because you were trying to join the Dark. Who's the Dark Star people?
Oh, they're the do they have a name? Hold on.
The matriarch people.
Well, that's her name. I'm trying to remember if there actually is a name for the cult or if they're just a cult.
I know there's a name.
I know. Void Craver. There we go.
Yeah. It's kind of a cool name, I thought.
I don't know. I don't like Craver. It just doesn't sound right when I say it. But that could just be me.
Could you write Void Craver on the sheet? Just because I can never remember that.
All right. Seeking one of some.
Thank you.
All right.
I've forgotten that like several times now.
All right. So Void Cravers. So yeah, you get all up in his business, and he is pissed off. What's the pissed off aspect you're putting on him? Because you got 2 free invokes on that. So.
Okay. Well, I don't think I'm too much of a forward thinker.
Okay. Not anymore, anyway.
I mean, just the idea that I could push all of his buttons, and knowing that if he starts swinging at me, he's probably going to be, because he's so drunk, he's probably not going to be at his best.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there's more of my guys here than his, right?
You're actually both of your squadrons are kind of off at the moment. But
which one is he?
he's green. He's green. Red squadron is out right now.
Gotcha. I thought it was red. Okay.
So you're about even. Green and blue are about even. I don't know if you know anything about military rivalry, but it's super fun. The only people I won't make fun of to their face are Marines, and that's just because Marines can beat me up. But I will mock Navy, I'll mock Army, but it's all in good fun, mostly.
So basically, I'm waiting for the explosion to happen for someone to take the first swing.
Okay, so
it won't be me.
We'll just go stupid angry then.
Sure.
As the aspect. And we've got 2 invokes on it. All right. So let's see. What are his goals again? I just need to remember. And, well, this isn't helping anything. I'm going to go ahead and compel Dakshi that being angry at you is not the best when also completely drunk.
Tempers are flaring.
Mm-hmm. And I think he's going to punch you. Because I see no way that could ever escalate and get out of control. We're not going to go with full conflict here, but this is just going to be his... Like, it's not like a punch, but this is a kind of an emotional attack, if you will.
He just loses his temper and takes a swing at me.
Yeah. And so he has... Oh my gosh, he's good at fighting.
Oops.
Yep.
That's okay. That's part of the fun.
I think I turned to Candy and not Candy. Sorry, Coyote, and say, "So you're the officer. You want to take care of this, or should we go in and help?"
Okay, so he got a 3 to punch you,
Aw,
Candy.
I thought he was better than that.
That's pretty good.
Wait, which do I use to defend?
Well, let's take a look at your character sheet. There's a couple things you can use to defend.
So
You can always use fight.
I've got a fair.
And, well, athletics. So I guess fight is your go-to here. So
I'll go with fight.
on the fun side, I do have stats for his squad too. So, however, you still have those 2 invokes because he's stupid angry.
Yeah.
So you can actually beat him right now. Just be like, knock it off.
But he beat me by 3.
Mm-hmm. And you have the ability to increase yours by 4.
Right. Oh, so I just could use 2, or I could use both.
Yeah, you could use both simultaneously.
Basically.
Because, stacked free invokes work differently than every other kind of invoke in Fate. And I still think that's probably the most genius invention of Fate Core.
Which part?
Stacked free invokes. I played a lot of Fate prior, and we would spend a lot of time like building like 80 different aspects, also that they'd all be different. Diaspora was probably my favorite because they had to be on different scopes. So you had to be like, okay, this is on my gun, and then this is on the terrain, and then this is on me, and then this is on the bad guy, and then this is on the universe, and I'm going to use all of those. So
For one good. Okay, so yeah, so I imagine he's like not being drunk and being super angry. It's easy to catch him off balance, so that when he comes for me, I can basically just kind of, I don't know.
well, do you want to use that to maybe de-escalate it, as opposed to just... In fact, what you could do is you could use one of those to re-roll. Because on average, that'll bring it to a 0, but it could bring it to more. In theory, it could actually swing it farther than just a +4. It's a bit of a risk, but you are a risk taker. So.
All right. But if I fail on the reroll, he's...
Well, you still have 1 more free invoke, plus also fate points. So
basically, I'm hoping to get like a basically with style kind of success.
yeah, because if you get with style, I'll say that you could de-escalate the situation and
like
stop
stop
a whole bar brawl.
Well, why would I want to do that?
Well, you might. Your character might not, but you might, because you can read the character sheet. So. It's up to you. I'm not trying to push you into anything. I'm just saying that would be an option you could try for.
If there's some way that I can use him being super pissed and drunk in the fight to make him look more like an idiot, I will do that.
Okay, and that would be a way to de-escalate it too, where you can get his friends to basically drag him off.
Okay, so reroll?
If you want.
A little better.
Yeah, well, then you can use the...
Second one would put me... Well, that's still just a success, right?
But then you could also use your fate points.
Well, except right now it's a tie, so he just gets a boost against you, right?
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, you could win this right now, or it could become an actual fight, and then everybody has issues then. I mean, I'm not saying that if you de-escalate it this way, it won't come back to bite you, because it will.
Not so much in de-escalating as I am in just humiliating the guy as much as possible. Would I be able to invoke sober enough to dogfight?
Heck yeah. That sounds exactly like the kind of aspect you can use.
So if I use the other free invoke and a fate point on that, then
that would definitely do it. Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, yeah, you just kind of step aside as his fist goes right past your face, and he literally face plants into the table, and his friends come up and they're just like, we'll go, and then they start dragging him off, and he's like, no, she's a welcher on a bet, she's a cheat, she's a liar, and she knows I won. You know I won.
And she's a he, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it? I guess Candy that threw me off. Yeah.
They just call it Candy because he can't stop eating it.
That's true. So yes, sorry, he. I guess I knew too many
He's drunker
people.
than we thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, it turns out it was a bet with somebody else entirely, and
I like it.
very confusing overall. Yeah, I'm the GM. I'm not wrong. I'm just making up new facts. Yeah, that's the.
I like how you rolled with it.
All right. So yeah. So as they're dragging him off the table and out of the room, or out of the bar area.
I'd like to suggest that, I'm still really angry, and it looks like this is a way I could try to blow off steam.
Okay. If you want to compel here, I can give you a compel here.
I think I want to compel to clear that box.
Okay. Go ahead and take the compel, and what's your action that you're going to take? Because you're so very angry.
I walk over to him, kind of tossing my apple up and down, and as he tries to, get up from his friend, say, let me at him, I take the apple, and I shove it down his mouth. Just like punching him in the face with the apple, and just like...
Now what you should do then is walk away and call him a pig, because it's apple in the mouth.
Exactly.
Well, fun story. You guys now get to fight all of Red Squadron. Congratulations.
Hey, at least I got to clear angry and get rid of the off-world apple. I knew I'd get to use it in a fight.
And
all right.
Later, just for getting Dakshi like that for me.
So Dakshi and all of his friends, they come up, and it's about 4 of them, or 3 of them. We'll say 3, and Dakshi, and they start swinging. So
Okay.
now it's get busy fighting or get busy running, I guess. So I'm guessing you're not all fighting to the death, but that's the beauty of Fate. You're fighting to take people out. You get to decide what that means.
I might.
Fighting till exhaustion.
It can be. All right. So let's go with... It's interesting, because they don't have initiative rules, even though there's no notice anymore, which is usually how you decide initiative. So let's go with popcorn initiative.
You can make a note.
It had something at the beginning of the book about what gets used for initiative in different situations.
Yeah, in the book, but not here. And there's actually a bunch of different ways you can do initiative.
Yeah, no,
And
but it was
I'm not seeing an initiative rule here.
Wasn't it doing the special survival and notice from the first chapter, though?
Automatic discovery is where it's at. Since notice has been removed from the skill list, Darkstar makes use of automatic discovery from Ryan Macklin with use of survival from page 10.
Yes.
But that has nothing to do with initiative.
Oh.
That just has to do with the ability to notice things and discover things. And also survival doesn't make a lot of sense for initiative. So we're going to go with popcorn initiative because that's my favorite. just
Okay.
go with whoever it makes sense to go first, and then they decide who goes next. And seeing as Hound, you just shoved an apple in Dakshi's face, it's Dakshi's turn. Because he's going to respond in kind.
From now forward, they're going to be known as the Pig Squadron.
Well, unless, of course, they can really stick it to you. So he's going to try and kick you in the sensitive bits. That's his deal. Well, all right then.
What do you? I missed that one. Oh. Okay. And I am. Hound is a murderer. He just kind of like.
All right. Well, that'll do. So he is going to. Then Dakshi is going to decide who goes next, and we'll go ahead and say, Eric, that Candy goes next. That he goes next. So, see, I pay attention.
All right. So we have the group of them that were trying to lead him off. So they're all basically in a cluster.
Yeah. They count as one big group of minions, really.
Can I grab a chair and try to hit someone over the head with it?
Heck yeah, you can. I see no way that can go wrong.
Of course not. All right.
Apparently, the chair is bolted down.
Well, do you want to go with the funny route, or do you want to go with the just you missed? Because I'm down with funny. Like, oh right, we're on a spaceship.
Go funny.
Chairs are welded to the floor.
I was feeling too full of myself after humiliating.
All right. So who goes next then, Eric?
Coyote?
Are any of these guys carrying anything or like?
I'm carrying beer.
So I'm looking at my I've got this stunt, the Death Wish stunt, where I can roll will instead of athletics. When you come straight at an enemy with more firepower than you, as if you only had a knife and your opponent had a gun, or you're dramatically outnumbered.
You are dramatically outnumbered.
We are dramatically outnumbered. So I'm just gonna go while all this has been going on, I've been kind of just like sitting there, just nursing my drink, just watching everything, and so now I'm just gonna put my drink down, stand up, and then just bull charge the entire group of them.
Okay.
And
right, sorry.
Using my Death Wish stunt, so I gotta.
I have.
That's what am I? Well, it's great for.
I have the scene aspects. I forgot to put those down. There we go. We got Dirty Officers Club. Crowd is watching. Blue Squadron is off duty. Those are the existing aspects on the scene. You can make more. So you're trying to do what again? Sorry.
So I'm just gonna just charge the whole group of them, just like.
Okay. And you did you got a 4.
Yeah.
And they are not very good, so yeah, they got a 2. So you take 2 of them out, basically. So describe it. Describe how you take.
So I just kind of go
right
through the middle of them, yeah, and 2 guys come flying out the back end of it, right into the wall, smack their heads, and lay flat.
All right. Who goes next? Now you outnumber them, though, so that's a problem.
That's right. Unless they pick up a weapon.
So Dylan, people who can go next are the Mooks and Hound. Not Hound. Yeah, Hound.
I'll go with it. Yeah, I'll put Hound up now.
All right.
I still have that apple invoke. I kind of crammed it down his throat, though. So.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of no longer yours. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No longer mine.
It no longer makes sense.
Okay. I think I'm gonna sock it to the drunkard, the blowhard. It's not clicking. Let's see. That's not that great, but oh,
He succeeded with style
yep.
to defend. That just gives him a boost, though. So do you want to do anything before I declare a boost?
Yeah, I want to invoke the apple. He gags on the apple, so he doesn't succeed
Okay.
with style. Because I shoved that down his throat.
So that means you're still going to take a stress, though.
Okay.
So you
On
can
my
take
attack?
a... What?
On my attack on him, I get stress.
Oh, no, sorry. Right, he doesn't get a boost. Sorry,
Yeah.
I was thinking about it backwards. I got distracted by the apple. It's a good aspect. So,
Oh yeah.
all right. So he's coughing up apple bits,
How do you like them?
and then he doesn't like those apples at all. All right. So
It's a good apple.
now it is the Mook's turn, and they're gonna start pounding on Dylan, your coyote. There we go. Wow, they did far better than I thought they would.
Okay, and I would defend with.
Athletics or fighting, or fight.
Yeah, I stink at all that.
That's okay. They're not that good either.
Yeah, I mean, I'm mediocre at all that. Alright, so I guess I'm mediocre for either.
Oh, that's a difference of 5.
You could take a condition to ignore that. Basically,
Yeah, sure, why not?
could be exhausted or angry.
I'll be angry.
Okay.
Take an angry.
So the guy's about to hit you with a beer bottle, and you just no sell it. It just bounces, like just shatters on your head. You're like, what? No, now it's personal. All right.
They
So
hit you
I am
harder?
going to hold on. I am going to invoke the
Uh-oh.
Dark Star aspect. In the middle of the fight stops, and here's why it stops. The ship suddenly lurches sideways. And basically the wall becomes the floor for a second. And you're all ace pilots. You know what that means. Basically, something hit the ship hard enough that basically the gravity systems couldn't keep up, and so the ship is now lurching wildly about. Alarms start going off like crazy. Let's go here. So basically this fight's going to be put on hold for a second as the hull starts making awkward noises. Well, again, the wall sometimes is like everything's kind of listing towards the wall, and the call goes out over the comms to Blue Squadron to scramble fighters. And it's going to be tricky. Normally it's not that hard to get to the fighter bay, but now that gravity is doing its thing, so that's the situation. You got to get to the fighter bay, and it is not going to be easy because, well, the ship is all over the place. What do you want to do? What do you want to know? What do you want to try? What do you want to do?
Is that the kind of thing where we would need a skill like athletics?
Well, athletics would be handy. All kinds of things would be handy, though.
I don't think any of us have athletics.
Okay, not just me.
We live in 0G. I mean, come
Well,
on.
there's that seems very useful in 0G. There's doctrine, of course, lore, which could help you understand what's going on. Operate is your ability to understand how ships work. There's going to be people in the way. Again, people are running around confused. And of course, then there's always repair, that sort of thing. So And those are
Right.
just examples. Like you could go with other things that I haven't thought of. But
What about using contacts to talk to my buddy in engineering to so he can fill me in on what's going on?
sure, yeah, go ahead and roll it. Because I even have a downside if you fail. So
Uh-oh.
I won't fail because I have a really good skill.
that is good. That's success with style too. So I'll basically just give you the whole rundown. Basically, you get in touch with him, and he's screaming he's like, "We're really busy here." Basically, the Dark Star has normally it has weird gravity shifts, which is why it takes ace pilots to fly it. You understand this, but it basically kind of lashed out with a gravity well, sort of, at the ship, and and so basically the ship is trying to react. He doesn't have access to all the sensors, but basically the gravity systems, the engines, everything is kind of redlining just to keep it stable. Shields are down, weapons are down, life support is at half. It's just a bad situation in general. So that's what you get basically over your wrist communicator or whatever.
Right.
Probably holographic implant in your brain or something, but
I'll fill these guys in on what's going on.
and yeah, and the call's still going out for Blue Squadron to get to the hangar bay. So,
And how far is the hangar bay from where we're at?
well, you're in the front of the ship. The hangar bay is you're in the front and towards the top of the ship, and the hangar bay's towards the back and the bottom of the ship.
And are there like turbo lifts or something like that to run us over there? Or do we
Well,
have to?
yeah, but whether they work or not, who can say? Because again, most of the systems are strained but yeah, there are elevators and emergency stairwells and all of that sort of thing. But again, the real issue is that basically everybody's down in the bottom corner of the bar, and you kind of have to climb to get there.
I have I have an idea.
Okay.
So I'm either going to use doctor. Let's see. It would either be doctrine or it might be report to do what I do as a lieutenant, which is turn to my captain and say, "Orders, Captain," creating an advantage on her since she's leader among the lawless, and I'm lawless if anybody is.
Okay. That sounds like rapport to basically snap your boss into shape.
It seemed like the right way to pass the buck.
Well, am I being
Indeed.
compelled? My leader among the lawless.
Well, we can compel too, but he's, I believe, putting a free invoke on it.
Creating an advantage
I
on
guess
your invoke, so you could use it.
Yeah.
It sounds
So
like
you now
we're
have
gonna
a
need
free invoke on leader among the lawless.
All right, cool.
and I think you outrank
yep.
most of the people down here in
Yeah.
the West.
Yeah, so I'm actually we got all the other guys who aren't being scrambled or whatever, the underlings around there. I'm gonna command them, say, get us to the hangar, immediately. And
way to pass the buck again.
That sounds like provoke.
So it is provoke, and I'm going to use my alpha dog stunt too, where I can get a +2 to provoke when giving orders to soldiers and crew of lower rank than me. So I want them to basically, let us, do whatever. If you have to die getting us to the hangar, get us to the hangar.
All right. Well, I don't think you can do that because they all have jobs to do too. But you can definitely get everything moving back towards smooth operation.
Okay.
And get people out of your way and get people to help you. But yeah, I think.
All right. So I'm starting off with superb there with that.
I don't think you can provoke the ship back into operation.
Well, no, just not in operation, but at least getting us to the. They're helping us up. They're bringing us to the door. They're moving stuff out of our way.
The difficulty of that was 3, and that succeeds. If you want to use that free invoke to succeed with style, I mean, it basically comes out to a null.
Yeah, why not? Let's
null set anyway. So, all right. So what's the new boost you build off of that?
So, I guess it would probably be like
a well-run ship or something like that, where everybody's back where they're supposed to be.
Yeah, yeah, or like I was thinking like something like order something, some kind of like orderly. What well run is fine. Yeah, that's
Or
cool.
order in the chaos or something.
Yeah, order in the
that.
chaos. There you go.
There we go.
That's good.
All right. I hope so. I write aspects for a living. All right. Now, mind you, you still have to actually get there, but now you have some edges.
Yeah.
Do none of you have anything like athletics?
No.
No.
It's all like contacts, report, provoke. It's all like
That's
feeling.
really funny for pre-made characters, because there's actually quite a lot of this that actually requires athletics until you get out of the ship. So I find that interesting.
When I thought there was 4, the character I proposed that was only taking skills the others didn't have, and I noticed athletics. Whoa, that's usually one of the top ones.
Yeah, well, especially if we're a fighter type. That's okay. So how do you want to get there now? You've smoothed the way, and there will be people to help you. But how do you want to get there?
Like, is it? I mean, is there still obstacles that are some stuff that's preventing us from?
Well, I mean, there's like
how
physical
we would
obstacles,
normally-
like basically you got to climb the hallways, and then ride the elevator sideways, which can't be fun.
Does survival get us anything in this situation? As far as a skill?
Survival
Sure.
was giving you knowing direction, knowing layout, I think. No, knowing layout was the doctrine.
Was doctrine, or repair, or operate, or something like that.
Are there
But
maintenance?
survival might work. I
Survival
think
is
I think
finding-
operate would work better for that, though, because again, it would know that because some section of the ship is damaged, and so you can't go that route, and it would let you know, give you the
Actually,
best route, basically.
This is survival is finding resources in emergency situation. So,
Okay. But I think operate would work pretty well, and I'm pretty sure some of you have operate.
A +1.
I think it's interesting.
I thought operate was just driving.
No, it's basically operating ships. So it works here for knowledge skills as well, and for getting places, because it's using the ship.
But
I
what
think.
about like
Let me read operate again, just to make sure I'm not talking crazy.
Operate equipment, computers.
But it basically lets you operate. Yeah, that's what I thought. Like you could
Into
use
the elevator.
operate to call the elevator.
Okay.
Know what sections of the ship you can't go through.
I mean, are these really skilled actions though? I mean, it's just
Well, this is all just one big challenge.
okay.
This is a challenge scene to get you there. This is the the dramatic climbing through the ship scene.
So are there ducts that we could get into with maintenance ducts or whatever that would have ladders? that we
Maintenance
could
ducts.
go
That sounds like a. Anyone got repair above 3
or at all?
or at all?
Repair 1.
Okay. As you all know from your long experience repairing ships, you have no idea. You assume from the movies that yes, there are ducts, but who can say where they are?
Well, we could use doctrine to figure that part out, right?
You could figure. You could use that. Does anyone have a doctrine above 3?
No.
Or at all?
2.
2.
But a couple of us have it at 2. I think Coyote and I.
Huh.
I have it at yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I'm just saying this out loud to remember for later when we talk about this. This scene is problematic. So challenge scene skills. Okay. It's not horrible, but it's problematic.
I think I have survival at 2. What's the difficulty that we're struggling against, first off?
Well, the thing is because notice doesn't exist as a skill.
Mhm.
What we're using is if you have a 3 or higher in a skill that would be
You know what the
relevant,
challenges are.
you would notice things. And so because you're trying to notice things, it's not working. Because that's not a mechanic anymore. So,
Would, do I see
So the-
other members of our squadron headed in that? Like, I mean, if I could use empathy.
yeah, no, everybody's basically climbing up the side of the thing and trying to get there, but you're in charge of the squadron, so.
Can I try and make a play for my empathy is a +3? Is there something that I can, as far as like my the other members of our squadron that I could use empathy with to notice how to get there or whatever it is that we need to.
Well, they're
notice?
they're just going the direct route.
Yeah.
Can I? This is a stretch, so I get it if the answer is no. But larceny, maybe I've used the maintenance ducts before, not for repair, but
Sure.
for
Yeah. Let's go with that. That sounds good. You actually know about like, because this is a. You could also use the ship's aspects, and let me find the ship. The big ship, the Victorious, because it's scheduled for decommissioned. They don't make them like they used to. Capital class armaments. You could use all of that as like maybe it's got like literally old kind of walled over ductwork that nobody's used forever.
But I've used it.
Yeah, like secret passageways where basically they refit the ship slightly, and so there's like gaps in the wall.
All right, so make a larceny roll.
Sure, and then we'll say that'll get everybody where they need to go quickly, and with only a modicum of danger. Boom. I'm not certain if that's good enough. Let me check. They have a bunch of sample difficulties, so I've used up some of them. Let's see here. So yeah, we'll say that's a tie. So basically, it was tricky. Some of the crew got lost on the way, and so they're going to be a little late to launching. But you generally made it where you're supposed to go. You get to the docking bay. The lights are low, like it's flickery. There's definitely been some damaged sections between here and the engine bay. But your ships are still intact. The maintenance guys, my people, the maintenance guys are busy making sure everything's still good to go. And if you want, you can launch right now.
Is there anything we should be doing before we launch?
Well, that sounds like a question for the leader.
So our ship, like your maintenance guys have our ships all ready to go. They're all fueled up.
Yep.
And our orders are to get to report to getting their ships.
They're fueled up, loaded up with weaponry, and ready to go.
Yeah. So let's load up, move out.
All right. So you come launching out, and I will always picture it like Vipers launching out of Battlestar Galactica, the classic one from 1979, not this new one where it's all politics. Should be laser guns and smoking cigars, man. That's where it's at.
Coyote, you aren't going to give like the speech like from Independence Day or something to inspire us before we get on the ships?
Or maybe he gets on and he's just like, remember some inspiring speech? Yeah, pretend I just said that.
Oh yeah, that movie.
Yeah, as we're like we're launching out and stuff like that, and I'm saying like Blue Squadron, check in, make sure everybody's in their ships.
Yeah, Blue 2 and Blue 7 are still about 5 minutes out. They were in a different section of the ship, but otherwise, yeah, Blue Squadron is ready to launch.
All right. Now, like as far as our orders, like, do we have any specific? Like, are we just supposed to be?
Well, one, you're trying to find out what's going on because the
systems are down.
Well, basically, just ripped the ship's systems apart. Basically, there's collapsed sections of the ship. Like as you launch out, you look over and you can see like there's a big hole in the side of the ship where apparently gravity crunched everything up. Who knows how many dead?
All right, so I want to take us to like I want to take the squadron that the ships that have gotten out to a safe zone or somewhere out if we can get outside the pool to evaluate and decide what's going on and figure out and decide what to do next.
All right. Whose ship has the best sensors?
Probably mine.
I'm mediocre.
Roll sensors.
And I have a good stun for navs too.
Okay, this is just to see what's going on, to get the best look at things.
So +3.
All right, +3 total.
5. Plus
5.
5 total.
Nice. All right. Let me find where we're at.
Was this was this Candy creating it? You're using your linked navs?
5. That's if I'm creating an advantage.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, well,
never mind.
that's what you're doing right here. So you're basically creating an advantage, so that way everybody knows what's what, and
Alright, so I get
you
an extra
have the edge. So
I get-
that's really, really good. That'll give you 2 free invokes. I'm gonna make this one up. Sorry, just because basically there's an alien ship that just came out of the Dark Star, and is attacking the Victorious. It's smaller than the Victorious, but you can tell with your sensor readings and everything that this thing has got some big guns. It doesn't appear to have any fighters, but it's basically all gun and alien ship. Like, it's just engines and guns, and it's targeting the Victorious. And so let's make up an aspect that'll fit with that. Let's go with alien target. Does that sound like it would work?
Sure.
Okay. All right, and then these scene aspects.
Oh, I get an extra free invoke you create for each additional pilot flying in your squadron.
Holy crap!
Pretty nice stunt there.
All right, so those are the aspects we have. The Victorious is disabled. Dark Star gravitational wave, and alone in space, as well as alien target. Anyway,
All right. So
so once you get in contact with the commander, he's like, seriously, take them down. He's basically, you got about 20 to 30 minutes before they even have rudimentary power routed to weaponry or shields. So you're a good hour and a half out before they have actual ability to maneuver away from things. So you've got to defend the ship.
yeah. And failure is not an option.
Oh, failure is not an option, and you're outgunned.
Yeah. So, well, I'm going to self-compel my failure is not an option and just say, on me, boys, and let's attack.
All right, so you're going full all-out attack then, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm picking up a fate point for that, too?
Take the fate point.
There we go.
Because I believe in rewarding stupidity. So. All right. And so it starts launching out little satellites and missiles from turrets and stuff, firing at you. And the satellites seem to be rotating around it while the missiles are homing in on you. And they move at weird angles. Like, the whole thing looks wrong. It's not rocketing so much in missiles. It's more like space is bending as the missiles come flying towards you. Like, they're not actually moving. You're being pulled towards them almost.
So basically, gravity is a huge component of their technology.
Entirely possible. Who can say? The important thing to remember is that I had an onion on my belt, which was the style at the time. All right, so they're firing on you. You're firing on them. And I'm going to go ahead and say that compel means that you have to fire last, Dylan, because you're going to wait till you can see the whites of their heat-seeking organs, or whatever they use.
Whatever they have, yeah.
So, Hound or Candy? What do you want to do? I mean, your commander's diving headfirst at the enemy.
Sorry, I'm actually looking up one of my stunts because it didn't make sense technically. So.
What's your stunt?
The let's see. The stunt is that I can use my engines in place of hull to defend, but it engines, the description is, can be used to dodge in roll
Yeah.
defense. So it's like, why do I have a stunt that lets me use engines instead of hull when
How much you want to bet you didn't when they first did this? It didn't. That wasn't a thing. So, I've written stuff like that where you're like, that's redundant. Well, I've already printed it. It's too late.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
So Candy, I guess you're first.
All right, so I don't want to charge straight in. I want to look for the best. What I mean, I know it's alien design, but the thing that would be the most easily damaged, or something that looks more
Okay.
fragile.
That sounds like a sensors roll to create advantage.
Oh yes, please. You're the person with sensors. I think I know how to turn mine on, and that's it.
All right. And then how would they defend? Would they defend with? They defend with systems, we'll say. That seems right, right? Or sensors, because they can be used that way too. But I think systems works best. All right, you created advantage. We'll say like a weak spot in the shield, maybe.
All right.
And that's an aspect, so that's going to stay on forever. But you get a free use of it too. So, call it just weak spot. All right. So you've created an advantage. Who goes next? Remember, Dylan can't go next.
Okay.
Alien target, we had three invokes on, right?
Yes, right, because you have a crazy amount of you have, seriously, that's overpowered. I'm sorry, that is a stunt. That's I'm not saying it's despicable or anything, but man, that's just rough. It's like, well, if I can create advantage, I win.
Wait. Don't we get it for the mooks too? Didn't you say other people were launching? Come on.
Well, they're dealing with the missiles and the satellites and what, like, and also basically you're the attack wedge because Coyote decided to take your wing and dive straight at the enemy, and everyone's like, all right, we're going to be point defense, and Coyote will do what Coyote does.
Yep.
Who has the best weapons? I've got fair.
I have the best. Come on,
Okay.
I'm all
Yeah, I'm
engines and guns. That's all I have.
Because who needs other things, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm more than happy to let Helm know about where the weak spot is and pass the initiative on to him.
Okay. All right, Hunt, it is your turn.
Dang, and I'm fresh out of apples.
That's gonna be a thing forever, I believe.
That was a really good apple, I just have to say. Okay, my
it saved your bacon in a fight. Of course, it started a fight too, so
yeah.
It was a bad apple in that way.
Are only at 2, but I think it's the best of this group. So I'm going to fly in with guns blazing so we can figure out how good its defenses are. So
Okay.
rolling.
Well, the fun story is it's going to defend with hull.
Okay. Oh. Yeah. Oh, what? Wait. No. It's
Oh, wait, no, it's hull is 3. Sorry. I need to re-roll that because I put the wrong...
Oh, you just tracked one. Oh.
Well,
That's better.
So,
yeah, I like all those minuses.
All right, it's a tie. So, however, it's going to... I'm going to spend one of my 3 fate points on alien hull construction, its aspect, to re-roll that. Because that...
Okay. Can you
no
put that aspect out so we can see it?
Sure.
Ouch.
Or was that alien hull construction? What was it? Yeah, alien hull construction. Okay.
And I believe you get a boost, too.
Well, it depends on what
True.
you do. Remember, you have all sorts of options.
That's true. Mm. I believe it's probably worth burning one of our alien target to keep them from. Well, he just get a boost right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because he's defending. I think we've identified enough. I don't think I want to blow all of our advantages on this round.
So he gets a boost. I'll put the boost on alien hull construction.
Sounds good.
Just that way I don't have to keep track of extra things. All right. And so then I guess it's the alien ship's turn because Dylan, Coyote's going last. And Coyote, you're getting fired at by the alien ship. It is actually it's going to do even worse than that. It's going to create an advantage with weapons by basically filling the sky with missiles. I'm not certain. Does anyone have an idea of how you would defend? Otherwise, it's just going to go against a standard +2.
Filling this. Would I have any systems that?
I would just let the weapons blaze and try to shoot as many down as possible. That's still just going to be 2.
See, I wish they were actually shooting at me because I've got my hull as my strong suit.
But because it's 1 against 3, the smart move is to create advantage early and then use that later.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do I have like countermeasures or something like that as systems?
Countermeasures
that might
sure.
prevent that from happening, or
I guess,
or jam the signal so that they
jamming would be sensors.
My sensors are mediocre.
Okay, well, that's fine. And again, all that'll happen is they'll create an advantage, which, I mean,
all right,
no
who knows? Maybe the dice will finally like me.
All right,
so I'm defending. I'm defending with sensors.
Well, no, you're not. You're not defending because they're putting it on the whole scene. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Anyway, that they're putting it basically on the area around you all. It's like covering fire, kind of.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to think if there was a way you guys could stop that and make that an active resistance rather than passive resistance, but I don't think there is. So, all right. Well, that'll do. We'll go with missiles everywhere. And I'll call them -1s when they have them.
For the peanut gallery, he rolled a 7.
All right.
It's just a few dozen, a few hundred, a few... Oh my... How many missiles do they have?
All. They have all the missiles. All right, Dylan. It is Coyote's turn. And you are now at knife fighting range, as they say in fighter combat. You're literally like the ship now takes up your entire view screen. Well, you do have loads of there's a weak spot that Candy has identified.
You have a death wish, and you kamikaze.
Yeah, I know. I was looking at
that.
You
can use hull to attack. That's the thing you can do.
I could kamikaze the weak spot.
Failure is not an option.
Yeah,
well, and it's a good day to die, too.
Blew it all, man.
It's a good day to die. But yeah, no, all right, I'll do that. I'll kamikaze.
I'm going to look at hull. Okay, so
I'll use my hull and to.
It actually doesn't do any damage to you according to the rules I'm looking at here. So, yeah, go for it. What's the worst that happens?
All right, let me. Oops.
Comes a boarding action when you like.
All right, so hull is 3. Good. Okay.
And it will defend with hull, which is 3. Hmm. Yes, now would be about the perfect time to blow your load on all of those free invokes. Mind you,
Yeah.
Yeah.
they're probably going to do the same if you do that. They have 3 free invokes,
So let's see, wait. Let me pull the
Yeah,
ask.
4.
so that'll be plus 6.
Yeah, let's.
And
Yeah, let's do it. Why not? And so we have how many? We have 4 invokes. 3
Mhm.
invokes that we can do.
Well, let's see here. You have. So yeah, you don't have 3 because you used the alien target one, right?
Yes.
Is that okay? That's
Yes,
what
I did.
And so you've got 3, and they've got 3, so those cancel. Those would cancel out.
Well, I can also.
Or you could just let it fail, and let them use their invokes.
Yeah, why not? Let's do that and let them use up their invokes.
Okay, so they use them up, which gives them a boost. So the
Yeah.
aspect missiles everywhere is still there, but you were too close, and alien hull construction is still there, but they now have a boost, which I'll just put it back on missiles everywhere. Why not? Okay. Dylan, you get to choose who goes next, and it can be anyone, including yourself,
Yep.
because that was the end of that round.
Yeah. Yeah, why not? I'm gonna kick it right back onto. So far I just kind of came in, I rammed them, and just basically
Yeah,
bounced
you basically
off
bounced off the shields.
of them.
So you're like, pew. So you
Yeah.
can curve back around and try it
Yeah, I'm
again.
gonna curve back around and ram them again.
So basically, you missed the weak spot slightly.
Okay.
All right.
Uh,
Well.
So I'm gonna do it again with my hull.
All right, and they're going to defend with their hull because that makes sense. They got a 4.
So if let's see.
Remember, you also have fate
Yeah.
points. I believe
Yeah.
you have 3.
Yeah. I have 4 fate points at this
4,
point.
right? Yes,
Yeah.
because you were compelled
Right.
last round.
Um,
And Hound, you have 4 as well, right?
No, the
'Cause
compel I took was to clear my stress.
But that's still a compel. Like I don't think I'm not 100% certain on that one, but
I was assuming the benefit was I got the stress back.
maybe.
I will read that while he is ramming the ship.
Yeah. Find that out for me because I'm not 100% on that one.
so
you either have 3 or 4.
I could compel my I can compel my angry condition, right?
Yeah. Well, I
And,
can compel it, but
Or yeah, compel that, or I can, well, or not compel it. I mean,
you can use it. Yeah, it's
I
an
can
aspect.
invoke it. Yeah, invoke invoke with anger, which gets me to 4, and then I can also invoke. I'll spend another fate point, and do. It's a good day to die.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, they're gonna spend a fate point. They're gonna spend their free invoke on their missiles everywhere because you have to fly through that. So you're weaving through missiles, and that'll put them at a 6, and that'll put you at a 6. That's a tie. However, you still have the 3 free invokes as well.
Yeah, if you were targeting the weak spot,
Yeah,
Mhm.
that would be an easy one, right?
yeah, definitely. Let's use that one.
Okay, so that'll put you at a +2. Or are you using all of them?
Now, how do they take damage? Do they Does it
There's
matter? I mean,
They take damage normal, so stress and consequences.
so more shifts are better then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, why not? I think it. Yeah, let's use all 3. So that would put me ahead by 3, right?
And put you ahead by 6.
Oh, that would put us ahead by 6. Yeah.
Right.
Why not?
They're going to use their second stress box and then a minor consequence. So that'll be.
I thought ships didn't have stress in this setting.
Your ships don't.
Oh,
This is a big ship.
Big ships can have stress.
Gotcha.
Basically, it has shields.
And what's it
Damaged.
for a ship like that? What's a minor consequence?
We'll go with damaged hull.
Like hull breach or not, or just
Well, it's not a minor. It's a
Yeah.
it's a moderate consequence.
moderate? Okay, moderate. Okay. So,
And so
that was
it's
moderate.
it's damaged. It's still functional. Like you didn't, but you can now use that.
like we didn't cut a hole in it though.
Well, you
Or
you,
did
you,
I
you
crack
dented
it?
it and blew bits of it off. Yeah, I mean
Okay.
it's serious, but it's still functional. Like the ship
But
is.
sadly, it is alien hull construction, so it's not quite the same. It doesn't just blow out.
Looks more like a flesh cut.
Who can say? All
So all you
right.
do is eject and then make your way into the ship through that crack, and then attack them from in.
All right.
But if we did that, he'd probably make us roll athletics.
Yep. Always with the athletics.
I'm not getting out of my ship.
Always.
I'm not getting out of my ship.
Exactly.
I love my ship.
We want to
All
make
right.
holes big enough that we can fly in that thing.
Just fly into the hull and start shooting.
Yeah.
You do make a good point that my fight is better than my weapons. Come on! Punch an alien.
Especially if they're armed with an apple.
Yeah. All right.
All right. So
all right. So
we're at the
Dylan,
next.
who's
So
going next?
um,
No, because you just started the next round. So you
right. So I pick who go. I could pick anybody else.
yeah. Anybody else?
So let's get Candy in there.
All right.
All right, Candy.
I guess I'll
Remember,
take
you're kind of a distance, so you're still up in kind of the asteroid cloud around the planet. Well, not the planet, the dark star.
So, what do you think would be a better use of my turn? Trying to create more advantages with sensors, or actually helping you guys with the attack?
Probably more advantages.
Yeah. All right. That's what I'll do then. So I can another sensor.
What are you trying to do with your sensors? Because right now I don't know what the difficulty is.
Yeah, I guess I should figure that.
I just want to use them. I don't know what they're for.
If I can see a pattern to the way the missiles are being launched, then maybe I can direct these guys to maybe some holes in the salvos and everything. Give them some clearer shots in.
Okay, so you're looking for a pattern. All right, cool. So that actually sounds like they would defend with fighter or with weapons, actually. Because that is a bit of a problem for you, but not unbeatable. So you got a 4. They got a 7. Oh, that's no good. On the other hand, you can actually take not consequence, condition. Okay, we can't have so many CON words. So you could take a condition to succeed at a cost. Although that would be a major cost, so you'd have to actually take an injury and somehow explain how that works.
I think it's better to let them get the boost on missiles everywhere. It's like, you're looking for a pattern, and the pattern is, they come out of everywhere!
So that basically I failed.
Mm-hmm. It happens. It's okay.
No, I mean, like, what's the full...
Well, the full thing is that they're going to get a boost, basically. If there's a pattern, you can't detect it. There are just so many missiles in the air.
Right.
And of course, then there's the asteroid debris, the gravitational anomalies. It's kind of a nightmare sensor-wise. Like, oh my gosh, what even is this?
All right. So gotcha. So anyway,
I mean, you could re-roll or try. I mean, like you have fate points. You can try to beat the 7, but
I was thinking of the nose for loopholes. Seems like that would be good. So I'm
what
always
does that
looking
do?
to get through. But I'm not sure how that would benefit me to use, because the likelihood of me rolling higher than what I rolled, I don't think is that great.
That's true. Like again, you are going against their strongest bit. I always say attack an enemy's strengths because they'll never see it coming, but sometimes it doesn't work.
Yep. Hey, during this the rest of our squadron, are they are they attacking as well?
No, they're trying to stop most of the missiles heading
Okay.
towards the ship.
It's just the three of us in the.
Yeah, you're the main
Indeed.
attack. You're the main attack wing, and the rest of your squad. I mean, there's only 12 of you in Blue Squadron, so, and 2 of them have just finally gotten out of the ship. So really, it was like you 3 and 4 other dudes trying to defend a huge battle cruiser. I mean, if you want to build an advantage to try and get more of those guys in and use them to your advantage, but because I mean that's a way you could do it, is build an aspect, basically saying more wingmen or something, which you could then use to describe, all of them shooting at once or something like that at the same location.
Alrighty. So I think Hound was next.
Okay.
All right, Hound.
Well, or okay, because you could also pick if you pick them, then they don't go twice. They have no chance of going twice in a row.
I would never do that to you.
Yeah. Okay.
Since let's see, I see. Was it Candy having trouble with the scanners just a moment ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not trouble so much as there were just so many
Well,
missiles.
it's just too much.
Really couldn't figure out a pattern.
I can see, since I'm Candy's enabler and I see Candy having the trouble, and like we just can't figure out where that weak spot went with everything. We really need to relocate it to smash it. I'm going to use my engines, fly in, and get all the missiles locked onto me, and then I'm going to do the whole like Star Wars scene of flying next to the Dark Star and just like swerving around gravity plume after gravity plume and trying to just lose them amongst the different flows.
Okay.
Just overcoming the missiles everywhere.
Well, first would be an overcome roll to get the missiles to follow you. And I think that would be defended. They would defend with weapons, because it would be their targeting, and you're trying to get their targeting to fail. Or we could go sensors. Yeah, we'll go sensors. They'll defend against that with sensors. But basically, yeah, you're creating an advantage, and I use that term loosely, with all the missiles following you. On the plus side, there are loads of ways this can go wrong. So we have plenty of interesting failure options here.
That is true. I just feel if I'm going to be Candy's enabler, I have to do something for Candy.
Oh yeah, no, take a
clearing
fate
out
point.
all this stuff is the.
Absolutely, take a fate point for that. Also,
Okay.
did you find out if you get a fate point for the compel
Yes.
that gets rid of a sticky?
It does say take a compel. So
Yeah, that's how I read it too, which was like, oh, okay. So, all right. Well, on the plus side, they have a much worse.
Ooh.
Holy crap! They got a -1 to target anybody but you. So, don't suck.
Thank goodness that they rolled so badly, because I didn't roll that great. But I did roll better than -1. Oh, I succeed by 3, don't I?
Nice.
You do. So you have 2 free invokes of all the missiles are pointed at Hound, which I think is the appropriate aspect for that. On the plus side, it gets rid of missiles everywhere. That missiles everywhere is now replaced with missiles aimed at Hound. So,
Okay.
so on the plus side, they now can't use those missiles everywhere to block or stop anyone else. On the downside, they're all pointed at you. So.
Yeah, guys, I have my afterburners on. It's like as I fly by, you hear the Doppler effect. Hey, guys, get up! Please get up!
Apparently, you can hear people scream in space if they're screaming loud enough. All right. Well, Hound, I believe that means that the
going twice. Yep.
The
they're gonna
bad
make
guys
it
are
through.
going after, are going next, and they're going to shoot at you. On the plus side, because currently you're doing very well against the missiles, you have the edge, but they are going to. Yep, they're gonna shoot you all day long.
I like that the missiles can intercept with their their shots. There's so many missiles following me.
You need to lead their missiles towards the hull, towards the weak spot in the hull, and then just move out of the way at the last moment.
All right. Well, they got a 5 to shoot you, Hound.
Ouch.
Or lead them towards the Dark Star. I have them
Now,
be
remember also, they have a damaged hull that hasn't been used yet.
Yeah.
So that's a
Yeah.
free invoke you have that you could.
Well, I'm going to use my barrel roll feat, which actually, geez, boy, no, I'm not going to use it. I'm just going to use engines to roll, but I'm going to say I'm using barrel roll. The book, though, says I can just use engines to
Yeah,
defend.
we'll definitely put that on the things we talk about at the end of this. We're like, what even was that? All right,
So right now they're beating me
they're
by
hitting you.
1.
Right now they're hitting you by 1, which means you could take a condition or consequence if you chose.
I think so we can keep all the other things ready. I think I will take basically
I think
exhausted.
exhausted works perfect.
I'm getting
You're like,
worried.
holy crap! What even am I doing? Why am I doing this? Where are my apples?
Yep.
Now you hear Dakshi over the radio. How do you like them apples?
Okay.
All right, and they're going to give themselves a second go at you, Hound, because
Yep.
well, you ruined their day. Another 5.
I'm gonna stick with my good luck.
Yeah.
Holy crap, that'll do. So,
Yeah.
on the plus side, you now have more missiles following you. And we'll go ahead and say Candy. You can go next.
Okay.
Your
Well,
sensor readings cleared up quite a bit now.
yeah, I might as well just take a run at it. And
Or you could build another advantage, and like if you and Coyote both set up advantages, and then when Hound came back around,
Yeah.
you could literally just drop the hammer. And by my hammer, I mean 1,000 missiles.
so how exactly would we do that? Because the idea is we want him to be able to lead the missiles right.
Well, you can build free uses of aspects. So you already know where the weak spot is. All you got to do is retarget. You have alien hull construction. You have alien target. All kinds of things like that you could use as things to build advantage on, or you could build a new aspect.
So use my sensor roll. See if there's a good way.
That's one way to do it. Again, it's just be creative. What are you trying to do?
We're trying to set it up so that Hound.
Well, I know what
can
you
lead
as the player are trying to do, but what is Candy trying to do?
Oh yeah. But yeah, use the sensors and figure out the best, like a good little pattern to set up to get the missiles to hit themselves. Right.
So yeah, you're kind of sitting in the backdrop targeting things for everybody else.
Figure out like the flight, wherever the trajectory that calculate the necessary trajectory for the missiles to be able to pass the missiles off onto the ship or something.
Which also would go against a passive defense instead of a
Yeah, they can't.
active defense, because they can't stop you from doing math.
Yeah.
Where's your math skills?
Just how close Hound would have to get before he pulls away and the missiles.
Yeah,
would-
that sort of thing.
All right.
Call it screaming vector, because that'll success with style.
There you go.
What do you mean inches? What are these in centimeters?
Why would you even want it in centimeters? If you're that close, it's too late. All right. So what do you want to call this aspect? Optimum vector.
Sure.
Okay. And that's 2 free invokes. Holy
Well,
crap! You guys are starting to get dangerous here. And then who goes next, Candy? Because now you're telling everybody, like, okay, here's what you're going to want to do, Hound. And Hound's like, I'm listening.
Little busy.
All right. All right. So far, who's gone?
So far, the ship has gone and you have gone. The alien ship has gone in. And
So if I pass it to Coyote, then Coyote might be able to set up some other.
Yep.
Like, you know,
Yeah.
get the ship way at you or something.
So, like, I'm wondering if it makes sense for me to, to try and create an advantage using, some of, any of the other ships in the squadron. I'm thinking like maybe, I don't know if distracting the, or as a, as a
So
create a diversion.
you're gonna call for backup, kind of a thing.
Yeah, like, I'm just wondering, like, maybe create some kind of diversion with, order them to do something to create a diversion.
Okay.
As an advantage.
Which means you'd have to use your regular skills, not your ship skills.
Right, but I would use I could use the provoke with my alpha dog stunt.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you don't use your ship skills for this, so.
Yep.
I'm down.
Right.
Go ahead and
So
yeah.
I'm gonna have them like
like a false attack run or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So distract.
As a
Go ahead
diversion.
and roll provoke. We'll say difficulty 2.
Yeah, and I'm rolling my provoke with my alpha dog stunt.
Mm-hmm.
So that gets.
Never mess with the big dog because the big dog is always right. So that'll be good. We'll call it distracting run.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
And they followed my orders to a T.
Yeah.
I made it beautiful.
Right.
And now we've got.
All right. So Hound, it's your turn. You now have all of the aspects.
Yeah, you have a boatload of.
And they have none. So.
Okay.
I think those people that follow your orders because they're just glad you're not telling them to ram into the ship like you just did.
Yeah, they're like, yes, Captain. I like that.
All right, everyone, prepare for ramming speed. Oh, I'm prepared. I'm going to sit back here and watch. That's what I'm prepared for.
So, this attack, though, if I'm attacking with their missiles, I guess it's still going to be a weapons roll rather than an engines?
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to use a fate point or something to basically invoke to use a different... Like, you could attack with engines that way if you wanted.
I think that would actually be a perfectly appropriate way of doing barrel roll, that I fly right into the hull and do that hairpin turn and come out with all the missiles coming past me. Yeah. I think that is worth the fate point.
Okay.
I mean, yes, it's only giving me 1 point, but it's very much thematic.
Well, let's take a look at your aspects and whatnot.
And plus, he's executing my plan with the
Yeah.
So I'd be coloring inside the lines. Yeah, no, there's a couple synergies here.
And repurposed murderer. I mean, you're murdering people here, alien people, but still. Yeah.
Oh, my roll is a minus 2.
They're going to use hull to defend.
Okay.
I think you should build attack with.
Ow! Oh!
I did okay. Apparently, the dice don't want you to win. On the other side. I believe you have something like a plus 14 you can throw at them. So,
but it's a 6-point difference right now.
That's true.
Which is a lot to suck up.
Well, you could try to do a reroll.
You have 6 invokes, right? Missiles aimed at Hound, Optimum Vector, Distracting Attack Round. That's.
Well, and damaged hull. Because that's a free invoke you have on the consequence that was laid out too.
It is true that we have all that going.
So that's 7. That's 7 free invokes you have. Which is actually, if you did that, they'd still be in the conflict, but they would have no stress and no consequences left.
I think I will use one of my fate points to reroll by invoking. Let's see. Oh,
And remember, you
Um,
can invoke the stuff on the scene too, like a
oh,
gravitational wave maybe pulls you back on target.
Optimum Vector.
Was Optimum Vector one? Yeah, I'm gonna use the fate point on that to first just get a reroll because the this
Yeah,
big of a
because if you can
difference
get, if you
hurts
can get
me.
that to a if you can get that to a +3 or +4, then you've pretty much won.
That's not gonna happen. But I a 3 is much better than a
Well,
-2.
yeah, and remember you still have
Okay.
what, like 2 fate points?
Yep. 3 fate points, I believe.
Right.
So
Yes.
if
Okay.
you
No, 2, because you spent 2.
I spent 2.
I spent
Yes,
two.
because you spent 1 to use engines in place of weapons.
The barrel roll.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, you're right. You're right. And then I used this.
So you have 2.
Very good. Thank you.
I thought I was keeping track, but
I'm glad
I-
you're keeping track because not being able to write in the character sheet is one disadvantage to
oh
the.
no, there are some problems with doing things this way, but
Yep.
this is how I've played a majority of Fate, so I'm very good at keeping track of Fate point totals in my head, which is weird. Like that's an
I
odd
really
skill
love
to have.
Hangouts for this.
I will
Okay.
say, Roll20 has character sheets that let you.
It's true. I have issues with Roll20 because I can't record it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't have
You
the right software for it. Basically, is
Wait,
what
if you
it's
use Roll20 with Hangouts, you're still not able to do the Hangouts record?
at. I don't know. That's Roll20 with Hangouts always looks weird and is. I'm not certain. I haven't done it, but I'll give it a try sometime and we'll see.
Okay.
Because yeah, Roll20 actually does have a lot of really nice things, but
Yeah, I've written a couple plugins for them. Some character sheets. Okay, so I am cashing in everything I can, I think, then.
Okay, so you have
I'm gonna go for min-max.
7 invokes, which is +14.
Well, 6 because 1 on the reroll.
Actually, no, I used a fate point on the reroll.
Yeah,
So I was
which is
using it on
why
the scene aspect.
he now has 2.
Okay.
And then if you want to use a fate point on one of your aspects or situation aspects, like say maybe weak spot, you could use a fate point on that. That would put you up to a +16, which would definitely kill it. Like basically, they can't stop that at that point.
Do I do that, or do I let Coyote fly in and do the one more smash thing?
The problem with doing that sort of thing, though, is that you can't guarantee that's going to happen.
That's true. I think I'd spend an extra fate point.
Yeah.
Go for the
Yeah,
short
you are a murderer.
Having them destroyed with their own missiles is just that's epic.
Mm-hmm.
That's so much
All
better
right.
than
So as the alien ship is breaking up, here's how it goes down.
The fate point is on murderer, and it's I have to say, I hadn't killed an alien before.
And so basically it goes like this, where Candy's yelling out vectors and math, and Hound is like, what? And you're just seriously, just stay. You're going to want to break now. And all the while, the ships are firing at the remainder of Blue Squadron as they do a feint and come flying in with Coyote at the lead, naturally. So it looks epic, and you're literally flying within inches of the missiles being fired at everything, and it's amazing. And then Hound goes and you picture the alien in the command deck going, crap, as the ship just blossoms into breaking apart and silent explosions in space. And then the rest is silence. The Dark Star starts to calm back down. And then, yeah, you're still out on patrol for a while because you gotta be. But at the end of the day, that was the excitement. When you get back in the debriefing, the scientists aboard the ship are all poking and prodding you and trying to figure out what that alien was. They're all going over all of your sensor data. The captain puts you all up or the command. Is he captain or commander, or what is he? Captain, of course he is.
What's his role? Doesn't have to be rank.
The general. The general puts you up for medals and everyone applauds in the bar when you're there later. Even stupid Lieutenant Dachi, who doesn't seem to remember much other than that he hates candy. Hates you so much.
He doesn't like apples anymore either.
Like, he doesn't really remember much of that. Like, that's all part of the blackout.
The smell of apples for some reason makes him sick, and you can't.
Yeah, it's really bizarre. But yeah, so you guys are basically heroes of the day. Then everything gets back to normal, and you guys are back to being on the worst detail in the fleet. And if we were going to keep going, that's when we'd go into where did these aliens come from? What do the scientists want? All of that. We'd get into all of the 5 or 6 impending issues. And why do aliens come from the Dark Star? That sort of thing. All right, but that's what I have. And I think
more complete.
as compared to Silicon City, this is a much more complete kind of quick start campaign where you're like, okay.
Except for the skill challenge part that felt rough. Like
that's something I wanted to talk about, where it was like, well, the skill challenge was built, and I think it was built with the idea that you would be playing your own characters that you made.
Yeah,
using the quick start characters, it's literally all the things. Like if you want to look at it now, you certainly can.
I just flipped to it.
Yeah, the skill challenge is on page 40, and outside of provoke, none of you had any of the skills required to actually do.
Doctrine we have.
Yeah, which you used provoke and you used doctrine already in that. So I'm like, well, you've used those parts of the challenge. So I didn't cut it short so much as I just started saying, okay, let's do something else with that.
The chances of doing athletics 4 or operate 4 or
well, I'm down with high skill numbers because that leads to stress and complications, which is cool. But I think it wasn't really designed with the pre-made characters in mind, which I find a little weird.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
Or it was intended for us all to be exhausted by the time we got through.
It's entirely... Well, I mean, you guys were still pretty exhausted and whatnot by the end of it all anyway. Like, next session, I would have been able to really just hammer Hound. I'll compel you. Oh, I'll compel you again. And thrice I say I shall compel you.
We kind of got this provoke thing, like the skill challenge, the provoke use.
Yep. You got that down. In fact, that happened naturally, and I was like, oh, it's sweet. Very exciting.
That happened before the skill challenge began.
No, the skill challenge pretty much starts. The skill challenge starts as soon as the thing shakes.
The shit goes crazy. Yeah.
It's just I didn't let any. I've gone back and forth over the years with trying to decide whether or not to let people know they're in a challenge scene, or let people just do it as it comes naturally. And I find that if you don't tell people they're in a challenge scene, it works a little better. Just as for GM, because it lets them be as creative as they want to be, and then you can be like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Or another way to maybe present it is, so we say, all right, we start headed towards the, hangar bay, and then you kind of throw these things at us, like one thing after another, like you say, okay,
well, that's kind of what I did, where I was like, well, you have to climb the ship, like that's the thing you have to do.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, like people weren't like, all right, so you start down the hallway. As soon as you round the corner, you realize there's there's a big section of the hallway like pushed inward, and you have to climb over it.
Yeah, and I kind of
wish for that you'd put out the open aspects, so we knew that the ship is listed.
That was my bad. I forgot to do that. That's
damaged hull.
That's an issue.
I don't know if we could have told. But the confused soldier, that would have given us a starting point.
Yeah.
Well, and that's an issue with a lot of Fate GMing, is that sometimes you accidentally forget to put out the scene aspects. And so as Fate players, this is something I recommend all Fate players do, especially with new GMs, but any GM really, is if the GM forgets to tell you the scene aspects, please ask them. Yeah. Because the GM has scene aspects. Like, what's the aspect on the scene? Oh, right, I have a list. Because, I mean, you work on them, like, I didn't because I was using this, but somebody works on them like you have scene aspects. And then you're like, oh, because, at the end of that scene, I was like, oh, I'm an idiot.
It was interesting in that my read through of the scenario, I didn't catch any of the errors that we found during playing. It was just like the inconsistencies and stunts, the
Yeah.
one or two,
Well, we didn't find any big issues, which was nice. Like in Silicon City, we ran into like basically big systemic kind of issues that.
I watched the last hour, and I guess you must have hit the issues in the last bit. I got called away and didn't get to finish the video.
Yeah, well, the last hours where we talked about them, we're like, I think this was an issue, and then we talked about how to fix them and what we thought I did wrong as a GM, which is crucial. But yeah,
The thing I didn't like about this though, especially not only did the pre-gens not really fit well with it, but the whole stress, consequences, conditions thing.
Yeah, that
the fact that
confusing.
They had ship skills on your character sheet, but not ship condition, not ship consequences. Yeah.
Well, and why don't ships have conditions? And I kind of wish if I were doing this just for me, I would have gone with just conditions instead of and used the medicinal as like no, this just negates a success by your enemy and then causes you problems. But that's kind of what I did with the Jade Punk dueling system, or me and Ryan, is we basically did that, but with consequences, because it didn't occur to us to do conditions, which I don't know. Maybe it was the right thing, maybe it was the wrong thing. But I think having both, like having at ship level having stress and consequences, and then at personal level having conditions and consequences but no stress, and then having the mooks have stress, like the NPCs had, like there were just too many things moving in that area, and honestly, it's not an interesting area for me anyway to keep track of all of those things. It was a lot of bookkeeping for not a whole lot of reward.
When you pull the things out of the toolkits, pulling out several things kind of in the same area felt awkward.
Yeah, I think honestly, if they'd just gone with conditions, because I like the idea of exhausted, angry.
Yeah.
I think if they'd gone with maybe frightened as well, like if you and then injured, because I think those would work really well for. Like if I were to do this again as a full campaign, I would definitely just go with straight up conditions as they exist, like just and have angry, frightened, and
actually, the skill challenge it'd be great to use the skill challenge as kind of a setup to like before the battle for everybody to be going into battle with a few conditions.
Yeah, and that's why I like the fairly high difficulties, and I don't even really mind that you guys didn't have the skills, but it was just like. When you'd say, well, I don't want to climb that because I don't have athletics, I can't force you to do that. And I'd be like, well, what do you do instead? And so I think, I don't know.
I think there's a lot of opportunity for for success at minor and even major costs if we can't get to if nobody has athletics and there's no other way around it or whatever. We fumble through, but we all get injured and.
Yeah, no, I think a little advice there would be great. Just be like, just put them in. I think it's supposed to be bottlenecky, where you're just like, well, no, you've got to do athletics here, and yep, you don't have it. What do you do? And I think that's what it's for. But I was very confused because every time I'd say, well, that's athletics, and you'd say, none of us have that. Why don't you have that? And I think setting up challenges specifically to challenge things people don't have. I don't know.
And actually, that part says set up 2 challenges per character.
Yeah, and
there are 5 challenges.
Yeah, and that's fine, but I was just kind of like
you could use them twice. I mean, you could use different.
It actually says on a couple of them, use this one more than once or.
Like if we have to take a different route to get to the hangar bay.
That runs against one of my personal, like I know some GMs don't mind doing that, but I'm a big fan of Let It Ride from Burning Wheel, where basically you just say, no, you roll your athletics once, and you either succeed or you fail, and until the situation significantly changes in a major way, that's the roll, because rolling more than once just increases the chance of failure. And so, but that's a me issue. I get that that's not an actual issue with that scene, but
The lack of athletics just does seem really weird for these characters because, I mean, they're
well,
in.
especially for like Hound, like a lack of athletics for Hound doesn't.
Yeah, I was actually
Well,
surprised.
it didn't fit how I saw Hound, I guess. Which, I mean, I guess that might be a me issue as well, but.
I have physique and survival,
Mm-hmm.
and my apex skill is fighting.
Physique could have worked too, honestly, on a couple of things.
Yeah.
I think, and I think this is actually something that goes back to actually Fate Core itself, where challenge scenes get a lot less description and discussion in the GM section than contests and conflicts. Because I've run into this issue with challenge scenes before, where you're like, "Oh, I've got a great idea for this," and I actually think this does a lot better because it has those conditions actually do work great. It's like, "Oh no, I'll succeed, but now I'm angry or frustrated or whatever." You know, I think that actually does solve one of my issues with Fate Core. You were saying something, Dylan.
Oh no, it's just like as I was looking at this, I'm like seeing all these cool possibilities, like getting stuck in the elevator or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you fail the operate roll and stuff, to be able to just get you finally get it to work, but you get really so it finally works, but you're so pissed off, and now you're strapped with angry.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're banging on the control panel and stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff. I think it would work better if rather than just say like here's the scene aspects. Once we start saying, all right, let's start making our way to that. I guess the part that threw me for a loop is like when let's start making our way to the hangar bay, and you're looking for athletics. Like, well, why? What is it that just because it just seems just because the hull is listing or whatever, or that there's until we come into some kind of thing that we have to like really either climb over or scramble up or something like that is really when.
Yeah, and I think that might just be my GM style too. I tend to go for more of a overview of the scene and then say, okay, how do we get through it?
Yeah.
And I think the way you were describing it would work a lot better. It's also an issue I have with pre-generated adventures, which is why I tend to not do them, because I'll get locked down to an idea and I'll say, okay, this is how this has to happen, and then in my brain I just can't veer left anymore.
Yeah.
Which and that's a me problem. And it's good to have that pointed out that like there were other ways to do that, and I just didn't do them those ways, and so that led partially to our problem.
What would make these kind of cool is if they did like little in the sidebars, just little brief descriptions of play, either like they do in Fate Core, or like Atomic Robo style or something like that, just to kind of show here's an example. Like all they would have to do is like give like one or two examples.
Yeah, but I think the problem is the number of pages. They're trying to fit an entire module in.
I wrote a quick start that'll be coming out sometime, and there's actually a pretty serious limit on a lot of stuff, so I ended up having to cut and reword a lot of things. So it's.
I mean, I felt this ran pretty well.
Oh no, I think overall, yeah, the three scenes you're given, they all flow one to the other really nicely.
Very well.
And again, compared to Silicon City, which I kind of only had two scenes and didn't really flow well. Like if something went wrong in scene one, scene two just didn't happen. Like so, I'm like, crap. And then afterwards, of course, we discussed it, and then I realized that there were other ways I could have done it, but I didn't. It didn't occur to me.
The characters felt like a little bit more time building the characters for the quick start would have helped. Like for Candy, for example, it had a bunch of like more social things of the advice I didn't like, can't be trained. Those things aren't going to come up in a space fighting as much.
They could very well have come up in that first scene, and they kind of did. I didn't get to compel a lot in this, and that's fine. Like I fully expected not to compel a whole bunch, because it's a quick start, and we're just going to have about 2 to 2.5 hours worth of adventures. So that's
the old Starbuck from the old Battlestar Galactica. He was in devices, and he always had.
Dirk Benedict Starbuck is the only Starbuck. I actually met Dirk Benedict once.
But it was just weird too that the Apex skills and the next to Apex, there's provoke, contact, larceny, empathy, provoke, will, larceny, report. Like it's all socially.
Well, that makes sense though, because again, a lot of the fighting you're going to do is fighter pilot
In the
stuff,
ships, yeah.
which
Sure.
you
But
don't need those skills. So then you've got your Apex skills and things that aren't fighty. And honestly,
But-
he had fight it too, and that's a pretty
oh yeah,
decent
that's
skill.
pretty good. But it's just the most of the Apex was devoted to these social skills that they didn't have a social challenge for. So I wonder if the encounter had like one more scene that just had to be cut.
Well, that first.
It's a quick start though, so I mean it's
Yeah.
it's designed to
It's designed to break you into a whole campaign, and
And I
that's
could,
why.
I could see having a lot of fun with this character.
Oh yeah, no, like again,
I actually-
overall, like I think they're great. I just think that as far as just playing through the quick start with these things, this is a very kind of conflict heavy. Even the 10 forward thing, which I find funny because it was only called 10 forward on Star Trek: The Next Generation because it was deck 10 and the most forward deck. But that's okay. It's become lingo now, and that's funny to me when you grow up obsessing about really weird details, and then when it becomes vernacular, and you're like, oh, so that just means bar now. Interesting.
But I would totally agree with Zachary if this was like a one shot. Like if that makes sense, but I actually kind of like if it's like a quick start. If it's not necessarily if the first scenes aren't very intuitive to what you would expect for the pre-gen characters.
Yeah, absolutely, and as a quick start, it's a great quick start because it leads to
Yes.
all kinds of really great questions, all kinds of really like. There's gonna be because again, most of the job that these guys do when they're flying around isn't actually shooting things; it's looking for stuff and talking to people. Like, if you actually look at like the setting itself, it's just like, no, by and large, mostly what you do is you fly stupid, dangerous missions that do almost nothing, and then you come back to the ship and you have to deal with scientists who hate you, and your other soldiers who don't really care one way or the other because they're all stuck in the ass end of literally the edge of space. There isn't even space beyond the Dark Star. There's just nothing, and so it's. And then you've got aliens, and then you've got the Civil War, and I think honestly, yeah, as a campaign starter, this is a brilliant campaign starter. But as a single one-shot adventure, no, these characters make no sense, because almost all of it's conflict of some sort, like because you're either trying to shut that guy down. Like the only real social thing is the initial scene with Davik or Deadfish or whatever his name is. Dachi. Because who remembers names? That was like minutes ago. But yeah, like Dachi, I think you could have that scene could have gone differently. But I had a compel,
I had an apple burning a hole in my pocket.
And honestly, Candy's ability to do social things really actually did help in that first scene up until you jammed an apple down his throat. So, on the other hand, they do give you stats for all the mooks for a fight. So I could see a lot of GMs expecting that to be a fight scene too. So overall, do you guys have any other issues? I'm trying to remember other things that came up. Ship conditions or whatnot.
Ship conditions, a few editing errors where they had changed the stuff like the
the barrel roll
meaning.
thing. Yeah, but that's just glitchy stunts, which that happens. Like I don't have any real ill feelings about that other than I guess that's pointless. All right, moving on.
It's interesting. They use the conditions to kind of like you've got the hot-headed pilots kind of thing.
No, I really dug the conditions part of it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to try those in one of my one shots.
I kind of want to run a campaign of Dark Star. Like, I like the setting. I like the setup. Like, it's very Battlestar Galactica without all the running away from robots. It's still got that like political edge to it, that weirdness of you could just throw everything in it and it's fine.
I would love to play this character more.
Yeah.
The last time, like, the character was okay, but I
Mhm.
didn't really feel it. But this character
Well,
is like,
I think the last setting was a lot more nebulous. Like I was still by the end of it, I was still unsure exactly what Silicon City was.
I started liking it more and more afterwards, and I even went. I watched like a few days later. I watched Dread again just because it totally got me.
Well, and that's the thing, though. My question was, is it the Matrix or is it Dread? Because that's like it's doing both, but that was the thing I wasn't ever sure of when I was playing it. Like, I didn't have a good sense of the setting from reading. Like it was, I had a good sense of the feel and the tone, but not the actual setting itself. Like what.
Dark
I
Star
liked
gives
it. I just didn't like the way it was stacked. I liked the way this one was stacked as far as like difficulties and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This one came across very clearly.
Yeah, it gives you specific things like the White Hawks and the cult, the whatever, the Void Cravers, and the specific ship that comes through, and I don't know, it felt like even though it was limited and it was a small number of things, he managed to be very clear with the things that he used.
Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I think overall I liked this one better as a quick start, and
I didn't like my character that much, but I liked.
Well, but it also
liked the setting.
It also gives you plenty of really solid advice on making a character and building starship, like building your own starfighter for your character.
Well, I don't think the character would live long anyway, honestly.
Yeah, Coyote is a weird character. It's like I don't really think playing a suicidal character works as a fighter. Like, I can see where they were trying to go with it, like the person living on the edge, that sort of thing. But I found in general that players tend to play extreme versions, like almost caricatures of their character, and so I guarantee you, somebody who's played this has run into a player who's just literally first fight out just rammed their ship straight into the side of something and died. And then they're like, "What? I was just playing my character," because we've all met that guy.
Well, the stunts and some of these stunts too, kind of like set you up for that. Like, I mean, you look at like the kamikaze like with stuff. I could for Coyote the Death Wish and the kamikaze stunts.
Yeah.
Like.
Well, Death Wish is handy, like will instead of athletics when you're just straight up. Like that's just handy. Kamikaze on the other. Well, the other thing I didn't like is honestly ramming is way too easy. Like there's no downside for doing it. You took no damage from slamming into another ship, and I get that it's
a different version of physics. So.
Yeah, it's.
I think if I were to play this, I'd want to see that mechanic in there where if you that you could actually take. On a ram is essentially you're attacking yourself in a sense.
Yeah, I think like maybe take half of that as stress on your ship. And I think honestly maybe having ship stunts because the capital ship has stunts. So I think like over time I think it would be interesting also if you added in extra rules like say okay you can spend refresh to put stunts on your ship, and then have special stunts that only work for your ship.
Or ramming should be something like limited to like once per encounter. Like you'd have to get your ship back for like repairs.
Yeah, or
like
once per encounter if you want to survive it. You do it the second.
Unless you truly want a kamikaze.
Yeah. But overall, no, I really enjoyed Dark Star. What is the next one? I'm trying to think. What does 1.3 have? Let me pull it up. Camp X. Yes, or is that 2.3? That's 2.3.
Arcane High?
Dang it. What is 1.3?
Is it Arcane High?
Arcane High.
Okay, Arcane High. So that'll be maybe next week. Hopefully next week.
So it's going to be like that called Harry Potter kind of thing?
I haven't read through it completely, so I can't. And not since it came out, like that was a while ago.
Now, like you're trying to do these kind of like right out of the box, is like without any preparation.
Yeah, I'm trying to basically the day of is when I'll read through it entirely.
Is that
2 or 3 times.
Or 4-character.
I'm having trouble finding my copy on my hard drive, so I don't know. And once we get to volume 2, that's where it's going to get fun. 'Cause
That looks like
volume 2, that's where my stuff starts showing up. So,
looks like it's a Fate accepted. One. I see 4 characters, 4 pre-gens.
awesome.
Okay, cool. I feel bad taking Christopher's spot otherwise, so if there's 4, it's like, hey, I could be here and Christopher could be here.
Okay. So we'll plan. I'll plan for next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to talk about this session, about my GMing?
I think last time I was getting used to your GMing style a little bit too, so
Yeah,
easier.
I'm not entirely comfortable with how I GM. Like, well, I watch other people GM, and I'm like, well, I don't GM like that. I don't know if that's good or bad, but that's.
Well, you know what's cool about like being able to actually do these and then actually talk about not just the setting afterwards, but but just about like the whole how everything unfolded and stuff like that too. It's it's definitely insightful as a player, and I imagine it's got to be just as insightful as a GM.
Mm-hmm. Well, and again, a lot of it's like I'll forget things, and then I'll be like, oh crap, I forgot that, and then. As a GM, you're not supposed to talk about that. Like just be like, no, keep moving on. And so I really think in Fate, the best advice I can give to players is if somebody hasn't mentioned the scene aspects, ask them about the scene aspects, because they might have forgot, or it might just be that they thought they were obvious. Because a lot of times I'll try to describe the scene aspect rather than just give it. And I don't know which is better, just giving them out or just describing them. I'm sure it's some kind of combination of the two.
I kind of like getting just getting the general aspect, and then when it actually is like in our face, that's when it could get more description or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm a little on the opposite, where I kind of like to see even the ones I don't necessarily know about. Or the foreboding or playing. I could use this compel right now, and I'll go right in and not missiles. Actually, wasn't there another aspect on the alien ship? Something. There was actually the satellite defenses or something. Where like if someone's angry enough to kamikaze, then having that. Seeing that if that was an aspect.
Well, if you check out page 41, it actually has 5 aspects on it.
Oh,
I just didn't have any fate points left, so using them didn't come up. And generally, for character aspects, and in this ships are characters, I don't write them down for people until I've used them, unless they're super obvious.
Okay.
Because sometimes you'll get like, oh, this is the trouble. Well, its trouble is its radiation signature. So if you went looking for that, then you'd find it. But sometimes the trouble will be something secret, like secretly hates cats. Well, that won't come up unless it comes up.
Yeah, I usually leave the trouble hidden unless people have kind of pried for it. But I don't know. For some reason, I like highlighting the aspects of just letting you know this is the kind of significant things we're playing around with.
And that's valid. It's my style, and I guess I can try it a different way next time, and we'll see how that goes.
Cool. Well, thanks for running this.
Yeah,
no worries.
I had fun.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
I'll maybe see you next week, depending on how life goes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. So I'll post the event probably sometime next weekend.
Okay. Cool.
Cool.
All right. Talk to you guys later.
All right. Have a good week, guys.
You too.